This week, we're heading to an all-new galaxy with a special episode dedicated to Mass Effect. We chat with BioWare about what's coming up in Mass Effect Andromeda, get a chance to go hands-on with the game, and, of course, we look back at the highs and the lows of the first 3 titles. This is Player Attack. Hi, I'm Jessica Citizen and welcome to Player Attack for 2017. First things first, you can still catch us on TV. At the last moment, the Australian government granted community stations a little extra time on air. This means Player Attack is still showing on C44 in Adelaide, C31 in Melbourne and 31 Digital in Brisbane, as well as nationwide on Aurora on Foxtel and, of course, online at playerattack.com. It's already been a big year for video games, so let's take a look at the latest news. Nintendo's brand new Switch console is launching around the world on March 3, and we have a very special episode planned for launch day next week. In the meantime though, I'm going to assume you already know most of the important details about the hardware itself. You know there's a 6.2-inch capacitive touchscreen, 2 removable Joy-Cons, a kickstand and a handy dock that you can use if you want to run it in home console mode rather than as a handheld device. Right now, only a select few people have gotten their hands on a Nintendo Switch, but plenty of people have seen it in action. Recently, a bunch of videos were posted online showing the console in all its glory. The person behind the uploads claimed that a retailer had delivered their parcel a little early, so they did what everybody else would: share the love. Whether you wanted to see the actual hardware or take a sneaky peek at the user interface, these videos had you covered. As you might expect, the internet went nuts, but it turns out the love being shared was acquired without the appropriate consent. Nintendo has since made a public statement that a number of Switch consoles were stolen from a US distributor by employees, with at least one then being illegally resold. The thieves have now been identified, fired, and are facing criminal charges, and the rest of us have to wait until March 3 to experience the Switch ourselves. Moving on, there's a couple of big dates for Australian game fans to mark on their calendars. PAX Australia is returning in 2017. This year's convention will miss the busy Melbourne Cup weekend, with organisers confirming the event will take over Melbourne from October 27 to 29. This means, hopefully, cheaper flights and hotels for attendees. Tickets go on sale March 14 with early bird pricing if you get in quick. Also in October is EB Expo, which will be held on October 7 and 8 on the Gold Coast. Returning to its sunny Queensland home, the event has scrapped its Friday session, opting for a 2-day affair in 2017 with tickets on sale next month. And sticking with the calendar, E3 this year looks like being a very different beast. For the first time in history, the event is now open to the public, with 15,000 tickets available to just about anyone who wants to go. According to event organisers, it was a strategic decision made after the success of last year's E3 Live event. Apparently, the gaming public wanted the opportunity to access the show floor, and gaming publishers want to have them there. Australian esports was thrown into chaos earlier this month, with Riot Games banning a total of 16 League of Legends players from competing in the Oceanic Challenger Series. The bans range from 2 competitive weeks for account sharing or for negative behaviour, to the more serious entire season bans for those found guilty of account boosting. The offenders were discovered via a routine investigation that is traditionally carried out before the start of each competitive season. This year though, the player rosters were submitted just 2 days before the season start, delaying player reviews by a number of weeks. Riot is now reviewing its review process and is working with all affected teams to make sure they will still be able to compete in the series. In quick news, it's a new year and there's new Pokemon. Niantic and the Pokemon Company have released more than 80 new Pocket Monsters into the world, and you can catch them all using Pokemon Go. The second generation brought with them a bunch of new evolution items and 2 new types of berries, plus some controversial new premium avatar items. A US court has found that John Carmack did steal data from former employer Bethesda Softworks and took it with him to his new job at Oculus before attempting to cover his tracks. Oculus now must pay Bethesda's parent company ZeniMax a whopping $500 million, but that might not be enough. ZeniMax is reportedly considering an injunction against the VR company thanks to computer code that infringes on certain copyrights.
Hey, dude, you're a gamer, aren't you?
Just try it out.
Suda51's free-to-play survival-themed PS4 exclusive Let It Die has been downloaded more than 2 million times since launching in Western countries in December. The game was only released in its native Japan in January, and as a form of age restriction, fans were charged around $1 a download to access the game, which is restricted to over 18s. And finally this week, there has been an announcement from Valve. A new photo from Valve HQ featured a shot of a monitor displaying the familiar Half-Life icon with a number 3 attached. For years now, rumours have been swirling about the existence of Half-Life 3. We're all sure it's happening. We've seen the signs and read the tea leaves and consulted the oracles, but the publisher has remained tight-lipped on the project until now. This week, company spokesperson Greg Coomer has stepped up to tell everyone what this mysterious W3 is all about. Well, he would if he knew. Turns out he doesn't really know any more than the rest of us. Apparently those icons have floated around the Seattle office for a while now, with nobody able to explain quite what they are or why they're there. But what about those t-shirts we've seen developers wearing? It seems that Greg does know the story behind those, and it's another disappointment. He says that some of the more childish members of the Valve family wore them to GDC way back in 2011 with the intention of spurring the rumour mill. And here we are, more than half a decade later, still talking about them. Looks like they both worked. For more information on any of these stories, or to keep up to date with the latest gaming news, head to playerattack.com. But for now, stick around, we've got plenty more still to come.